but I sensed an uneasiness in our guide Jeff. So before we left, I sat down with him and his wife Christiana to talk about their experiences of Strong City.
I think Christiana would have been a very good mother.
In my time here, I thought I'd heard everything. Then Jeff delivered an incredible revelation about his dad, the Messiah.
God came down on Michael and forced him to consummate with Christiana. I mean, it was a terrible, strange act of God. He did an astonishing thing that I was astonished, and so was Michael.
Michael had made no mention of sleeping with his son's wife. I got the feeling this was a story I wasn't supposed to hear. And when Michael found out I knew, he asked me for an opportunity to explain just how God had made it happen.
I stood up like this, and suddenly I was forced down on the floor, and I had to get down. I was down just about like this, and I was in pain, and all I could do was groan. All I could do was kind of rock, and I started seeing that the consummation with Christiana was imminent, and I was going to be, I was going to have to do that.
I was just laying awake, and I was thinking about coming over here, and I said to Father, I said, when I go over there, if Michael invites me in, I will ask for the consummation tonight.
So was it just a single occasion, this literal physical consummation?
No, it wasn't.
But you consummated more than once?
Yes, yes. Yes.
Why is it necessary to consummate more than once?
Could you not answer that question yourself? When you marry a wife, do you consummate only once? Does she stop being married to you after your wedding day?
The world, they would look at it a different way. You know, they would just see that an affair happened or something. But that's not what happened.
I finally understood why so many can't wait for the end of the world, and the bodily ascent to heaven that Michael has promised. The last 7 years has left many broken, crushed by what Michael has put them through. He agreed to let us return in the few months left to see what the end of the prophecy would bring. Four months later, we were on our way back to New Mexico. It was the end of October, with just a few days remaining until the end of Michael's prophecy. We made a stop to visit Matthew and his sister at home with their mum Pam. We planned to see how they'd coped with life after Michael. But the children were gone. They'd returned to Michael and the cult. Pam said her daughter Tiara starved herself until she was allowed to return. On Michael's instructions, her children pressured her into signing custody over to their grandparents in the cult. Finally, she gave in.
That was the hardest thing I'd ever had to do, because I didn't want to give up my children. And the thing is nobody could see how hard I fought for them. Or care.
you do now, Pam? Is there anything left you can do?
No. The only thing I can do is just wait for the children to see. Have eyes to see that Michael is Wayne Bent, and he's not what he says he is.
With the prophecy due to end in little more than 48 hours, we drove back to Strong City. I didn't know what to expect, but it was clear the group would do whatever Michael asked of them. He'd said he didn't believe in suicide, but other groups have said that in the past, and ended up dead. Jeff met us at the gate. He was greyer and thinner than when we were here last. Hey Jeff, how are you?
Very good. Good to see you again.
Good to see you.
It is a defining moment, and it's a time I believe God's people are going to be vindicated and the world is going to be judged.
That sounds kind of final.
It's final. You can take that to the bank. We're done.
How is Michael, Jeff?
Well, he's very solemn,
Yeah?
and he's really at his end. I guess you can get a sense of that when you speak with him, but he's all finished. You know, he's 66, come to the end of his walk on this earth, you know, his purpose for being here.
After all the waiting, it was time to pin Michael down about what we could expect at the end of his prophecy.
It might be best here to take our shoes off.
If the Bible verses are exactly fulfilled according to what they say and when they say it, the 31st midnight would mark the change.
How do you mean?
There may be a body change. That's what Paul meant by we will be changed. He was speaking of the body change, and that could occur.
And what would happen to your body in that event?
I would receive a new one.
So, but after midnight on the 31st of October, there will be some major change in you on that.
There will be very, very radically so, yes. Isn't it his responsibility to take...
Michael seemed to have shifted the emphasis away from apocalypse to a kind of extreme personal makeover for himself. But he said he didn't want us inside the cult on the big day.
And I told him that.
So we sat down for a final interview. Not only had Matthew and his sister returned, so had Healed, against her mother's wishes. Why do you think your mum didn't want you to come back here?
She told me one time that she thought I was brainwashed. And I thought, yeah, I am brainwashed. Michael has washed my brain of all my own corrupt thoughts.
How was it up there?
One way it could be described as hell.
It was hell,
Yes.
living with your mum.
Yes.
Started telling us things that weren't true about Michael.
Like, what does she tell you?
That he's perverted and gross and weird and all these things that I know aren't true because I know Michael. And I told Father, I said, Father, if I have to stay here, just kill me. I can't handle it. I felt like I was literally going to go insane.
Here, the children are taught, follow your conscience, do what God tells you.
See, people outside say, well, you know, it's fine if you're an adult and you join a group like this because that's a choice you make. But when children are born into groups like this, They say, well, these children have not really made a choice about it. They've been born into it. And that this is the world that they know. This is the only world that they know.
Excuse them, Dan. They're laughing at you because they know very well they made a choice. These children have found life. They found the more to life that your world does not possess.
They wouldn't know that though, would they? Because they've never really had an opportunity to experience it properly.
How do you experience the world properly?
When it's not skewed by your interpretation of it.
Well, let me tell you then, my son and I were raised in your world. I was educated in your world. I know very well how empty it is, and it goes nowhere. All you got is your DVD movies, going to the cinema, waging wars, paying your debts. That's all you have. When really, the world properly is to hear God speak to you, have Him fulfill His purposes in you, and feel the exhilaration of just talking with angels, where you do real things and not just things that keep your lusts satisfied for a while.
But doesn't this group just satisfy your needs, Michael? This church is really about your needs, isn't it?
No, it was about my sacrifice. I've sacrificed my life for them, and it began 7 years ago. My life is theirs. Everything I have given to them.
That's true.
Michael was not used to being challenged, and I could see the contempt in his eyes as he tried to stare me down. If he truly believes his own divinity, why has he so crudely manipulated his followers? I found his complete refusal to take any responsibility for what he's done here chilling. Like cult leaders before him, Wayne Bent has created his own universe, regardless of the cost to his followers, even his own son. He's a man who's lost control of his ego, and any attempts to reason with him seemed futile.
Did you have any more questions?
I don't think so.
I'll see you later.
Bye, Michael.
Bye-bye.
I know that people think we're going to commit suicide and whatever, all this stuff, but I can't comprehend it in my mind because the only view I feel like I have is the view that Father's given me. I do know, though, that nothing that happens will disappoint me.
Take care.
Okay. We will. We're being taken care of.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye, Willow.
Goodbye.
Okay. Thanks very much for everything.
Well, I miss you guys.
Hope everything works out as you wish it to.
It will. I don't know what it'll be, but I know it'll be good.
It was a few minutes before midnight on the 31st of October, as we drove back to the cult. We were in the last moments of Michael's prophecy. Though I got the feeling the world wasn't about to end, I was worried that for the members, it might. By the fence, it looked like they'd been smashing up Halloween pumpkins. Michael said he didn't want us inside the compound, so we waited at the gate to see what midnight would bring. And then, at the stroke of 12, a strange horn blared from speakers close to Michael's house, and we could hear ecstatic voices. Suddenly Michael was leading his followers out of the compound and up the road towards us. The cult's members seemed jubilant, but I couldn't see that anything had changed. And as Michael stood surrounded by his delirious followers, it reminded me of the story of the Emperor's new clothes. And that was it. After proclaiming their freedom one last time, they walked back into Michael's world.
Hello?
Hello, Jeff?
Yes.
Jeff, it's Ben here.
Yes.
We're by the fence.
Okay.
I know that Michael said that there wasn't any real prospect of an interview after the 31st, but I was hoping to find out from somebody how things have changed now that the end of the prophecy has come.
Well, the prophecy's over.
Well, because I was wondering, you know, what's happened to Michael. He said he might be getting a new body.
I'm not aware that that's happened yet. He will be getting a new body.
He looked the same last night.
Why don't you direct that kind of question to Michael? I don't really think he would want to be interviewed again.
So you don't think there's any chance that we could see Michael today then?
I would say that there would not be any chance at all whatsoever.
How about you, Jeff?
I said enough, Ben. I don't have any desire to be interviewed again. I've given you my full story.
Are you still expecting to leave the Earth, Jeff?
Oh yes. Yeah, I have no life here, no future on this Earth, and I burned my bridges a long time ago. This world is doomed, and God is going to destroy it. So I don't really care what anyone thinks. I don't care if God disappointed me 10,000 times. I'd rather live in one of His tents than in the mansions of wickedness.
Okay. Thanks, Jeff.
Bye.
If he needs sex, you'll give him that too. If that's what it takes to win him.
Was this literally going out to bars or to hotels to pick up men?
It sounds rather crude that way, because when you're sincere, you didn't look on it that way. You looked at you're going out and you're going to, by your physical charms, attract someone and talk to them.